I would say in the high 80% of window cleaning companies are not set up correctly for tax purposes. They're doing things wrong and costing themselves tens of thousands of dollars every year. So my goal is to try to get as many people on a path to in the right area tax-wise for their business. My big thing is retirement. None of these young kids are thinking anything about that, but if you're 25 and you're maxing out an IRA through your business and you start at 25 and you go to 65, you're going to have over $5 million in that account at 65 years old. And, that's pretty awesome.
Most business advice ignores your family. This podcast doesn't. Welcome to Family-Oriented Business Growers. Hey, welcome to all of you, bandits and shillies. It was the summer of the year 2000, and today's guest picked up a squeegee with the intention of just cleaning windows for that one season. And now 26 years later, he still hasn't put it down. Jake Van Orde, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you. Good to finally actually talk to you and not just message. So.
Yeah, likewise. And in that time as well, just like kind of to reinfuse the intro, you've also sort of accidentally built the largest independent window cleaning group on Facebook as well, Window Cleaning Nation, for which you're famous or infamous depending on how you look at it. So yeah, maybe just set the scene for us. Give us a picture of what's happened over the last 26 years, how that group came to be, what you've been doing in your business, and all that kind of stuff. Why you didn't put the squeegee down? Just tell us all the things.
Well, I was doing electrical work is what I was doing before I got into window cleaning, and I was a couple years into my apprenticeship at that point in time, and had been laid off a few times because it was feast and famine. So it was you'd have 6 months where you would be working 60-hour weeks, and then you'd have 6 months where you'd be laid off and there'd be no work. It was just kind of an up and down thing with construction in the state of Utah at the time. And so I was laid off, and it was early summer, and a friend of mine, his sister and brother-in-law owned a window cleaning company called College Bright, and they were looking for some young people that wanted to, at least do it for the summer, preferably longer, but at least the summer. And they were predominantly commercial and big commercial. So I got my start more on the commercial side of window cleaning, doing buildings that are, and the company. Did that cut out for a second there?
No, we're good.
Okay. So in the company that I work for, they actually had the tallest building there at the time. So my plan was to just work that summer and go back into doing electrical work as soon as another project came along, and just never really did that again. That winter, I went back and did some electrical work, but it was really slow, just working for a company that did residential stuff and was doing some stuff in Park City, Utah that winter. But then after that winter, I never did electrical work again. Went into just doing window cleaning after that, and worked with 3 or 4 different companies before I started my own in 2007.
Yeah, nice. So aside from the consistency of work, was there something else that kept you attached to that squeegee longer than you originally planned?
I think it was more just the freedom of things. I mean, I enjoyed doing electrical work. It was a good job, a good future, all those things. But it was the monotony of it, and going to the same place was a little difficult, and so that's what I like so much more about window cleaning. Biggest projects we do are like 2 weeks, and you're done with a huge project in 2 weeks. Where when I first started doing electrical work, I was on a job in downtown Salt Lake that was they were building the LDS conference center, and it was massive, a massive, $1 billion project there. Literally the first 13 months that I did electrical work, I was there 6 days a week, every single day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoyed what I was doing, but then I just found the freedom in window cleaning where we were on different jobs all the time. And yeah, just the freedom, being outside, meeting a ton of new people, just kind of my jam,
Yeah. Variety is the spice of life. So then in about 2007, you started your business. What was that transition like to starting your own thing and then trying to figure things out on your own, and running things? Were you was that a bit of a learning curve? Did you have any kind of struggles and road bumps with that?
Well, I think I started at about the worst time you possibly could, because going into 2008, as we all know, in at least the United States, it was a pretty big downfall economically. So I started I got my business license and insurance and everything like that in October of 2007. Um, and then right there going into 2008, everything just kind of crashed. And um, I was able to start getting some decent clients and start growing even with the downturn. But really, what got me through all the downturn is just good relationships with companies that I'd already worked for. You know, um, every company that I've worked for would love to have me back working for them. So I never burned any bridges or anything like that. So when the economy wasn't doing well and I'm trying to build a business, I was doing some contract work for a couple of the companies that I'd worked for before, um, that I had good relationships with, where I could fill my schedule when I was unable to fill it with clients of my own. So that's kind of how I was able to kind of push through that hard times of um, 2008. And then 2009 went pretty good. And then I hired my first employee in 2010.
Yeah, great. Um, Now you said to me before we jumped on the call that you've kind of kept your business intentionally small, and a lot of owners sort of stay small by default. But what does that look like for you in terms of keeping it intentionally small? And when did you make that decision? Like after when you up to the story and the people were like picking up, were you looking to grow larger and then found that managing staff was complicated enough on a smaller level, and you're like, no, this is a good amount? Or did you always know that you just want to keep a fairly small size? I think you've got about like 3 employees, right? So you've got like three trucks on the go consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But yeah,
we,
like, was that the plan from the beginning?
uh, I never wanted to be a guy with, you know, 10, 15 trucks on the road. That's never been my thing. I've always been the guy that I want to do top tier quality work every time. And I'm a firm believer that if you have 10, 15 guys, there's not all of your 10, 15 guys are going to be doing top tier quality work. It's just not going to happen. So, um, my belief is if you have three or four, if you have 3 or 4 really good guys, um, you can do what 7, 8 guys do if you have the right people, and then the work getting done is always top tier quality. Where I think that's the biggest issue with these companies now, because there's so many companies now that pop up. They've got some mommy and daddy money, and they spend a ton of money on advertising and doing all that, and they grow really, really fast. So, um, but they don't do the quality of work that needs to be done, and that's my biggest issue with it. And we see it a lot here in Salt Lake, where there's just a lot of companies that grow really fast. There's two or three, but the quality of work, yeah, you have 1,500 reviews, but 200 or 300 of them are 1-star reviews. And that's not what we want to do. We want every single customer to be happy every single time, to where we don't get a 1-star review from someone, because we're always going to do the top tier work every time. So I mean, I like keeping it small. Plus, it's less headaches. I mean, the bigger you get, the more headaches you have, the more personalities you got to deal with, the more sick people calling in saying they're sick, things you're having to reschedule, and it's just a lot more to deal with. So I'd much rather keep it small and be happy. I'd much rather be happy than for money.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most important things in your business right now that keep the business stable, that keep it profitable, and that keep the work quality top tier?
Just having the right employees, for sure. So right now, my two top guys are guys that I worked with at another company, 20 years ago. And so my crew right now, we have over 100 years experience with 4 people. So we've got an older crew, for sure. Me being almost 46, and then I've got 2 guys that are, one's 49 and one's 50, but they're fantastic at what they do. They know what they're doing. They were trained correctly. They were trained by the same people that I was trained by. So that's kind of how we keep doing top tier quality work, is just having people that know what they're doing and have bills to pay. Because what I've noticed when I've worked at other companies before I started my own is, they hire a lot of 18 to 24-year-olds, and most 18 to 24-year-olds do not give a crap about what they're doing at work. They want to get off work. They want to hang out with their friends. They want to go see their girlfriend, whatever it may be. But when you have people that are more seasoned in the industry, that this is what they're going to do. This is they're lifers too. I mean, if they're still cleaning windows 30 years after they started cleaning windows, they must like something about it. They're sticking around. And so I think for me, that's the biggest. And I have a good reputation of paying my guys well. So if somebody's not happy at a company that they've been working at and they're a good long-term window cleaner, those are the kind of people that I want to hire. I want to hire guys that are, passionate about cleaning windows. They're good at cleaning windows. They just don't want to start their own companies. So
yeah, that kind of I feel like segues well into like comparing that when you started either in the industry in like 2000 or in your own business in 2007 compared to now. What do you see as being the different struggles from then to now of people coming into the industry? Like if someone wants to start their own thing, what does that look like now versus then?
Well, now versus then. When I started, I'm sure you're familiar with phone books. Yeah. So back when I started, nobody advertised on the internet. It wasn't really even a thing yet. Review sites didn't really exist. There was a few little things. Google didn't do reviews. There was no such thing as Google My Business. So none of that existed. So it was just a different level of being able to get business then versus now. Now, it's tougher because, like, going back to the phone book thing, when I first started, there was 8 listed companies in the Salt Lake Valley that had window cleaning in their business name. When we ran the check last year for window cleaning, just any company that had window cleaning in their name that was anywhere from Ogden to Provo, which is considered what's the Wasatch Frontier, there's 376 window cleaning companies listed in comparison to 8 in 26 years ago. So that just shows you how much the industry has grown. And then it's blown up even more since the pandemic and those two brothers on TikTok with their door knocking campaign and getting teenagers into this industry. And because teenagers will go and knock doors. People in their 30s and 40s aren't going to go and knock doors, but teenagers don't care. They'll go and knock the doors and do all of that. And they're usually not good window cleaners yet, but they're savvy at going out there and doing what it takes to start to grow. Where us older guys, we're not going to go out there and knock doors for 8 hours a day and annoy people. And
Well, I mean, they've got the hustle, and you got to start somewhere. But on the flip side, right? Like, you don't have to do that. Like, you've got where your position and how your business is. It's something that you can look at and go, yeah, like I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. And you've got like the full schedule of work. Whereas for them trying to break into the market, it's like, yeah, you've got to do something to get in there. Like, if you had to start again now to try and build what you've built, the business that's the right size for you, that serves you and your family in the way that you want it to, how would you go about like hitting that reset button and starting again?
Like starting right now with technology and everything the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I would be technology sound if I was starting right now. So, I mean, hopefully I'd be young and able to take on the technology side of things, because that's not my strong point. I'm not a tech guy. So I would have to learn. I would have to do all the tech marketing stuff. I'd have to learn the ins and outs of marketing in that way. And I mean, we do marketing through search engine optimization and Google and all of that, but still, for us, for residential, our best return on investment is every door, direct mail, and flyers. It still works the best out of all of them. Dollar for dollar return on your investment. It's still the way to go for us. And I mean, we've done just about everything over the years. But yeah, if I were to start today, I honestly would probably push harder in large commercial. I'd probably go more into commercial buildings, build relationships with building managers and those types of things. And that's just because I know how to do commercial work. I was trained early on how to do commercial work. So, yeah. But when I was getting started, the easiest clients to get are storefronts and residential. Those are the two easiest to get. And being young and needing to make money, have a young family, and that I need to just bring in cash flow. And so the easiest thing for me at the time was, going into storefronts and getting that type of work, and then pushing on the residential side. But yeah, if I were to start all over, I think I would go more on the lines of larger scale commercial, not storefronts, not restaurants, but anything over 3 stories, I think would be more where I'd push the envelope on things. So a lot of people don't like that because it takes a lot longer to get paid than with residential, but I just absolutely love big commercial work. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would your approach be to get more of that? Like, you made reference to building relationships with like building managers and that kind of a thing, but what would that look like on a practical level?
I think the only practical way to do it is actually go into the places, find out who the maintenance manager is and talk to them directly and get the contact information, see if they're taking bids. A lot of these commercial buildings take bids every 2 years, and they usually have 3 companies that come in and bid. So getting on those bid lists and stuff is definitely important. But I mean, I think that I'd want to stick to, and this is kind of what we do already. We really don't do anything over 8 stories. Once in a blue moon, we'll switch the insurance up so we can do something over 8 stories if we get the call and we really want to do the job. But really, we're at like the 3 to 8 story is where the real money is. I mean, all the big, huge buildings, it's a fight to the bottom. Everybody's just underbidding each other, doing 100 pane drops for $100. Just no money in it in those big buildings. So I think the sweet spot is definitely that 3 to 8 stories. So
Yeah, yeah. And then coming back to flyers, I mean, I guess by extension EDDM, but that's the question I'm going to ask kind of fits for both of those. You said that works really consistently for you. Do you have multiple flyer designs that you distribute? Do you just have one winning design? How do you like target your areas? Are you like hitting the same areas on repeat, or are you going like kind of a broader distribution? What's your approach that's getting you good results?
So it's all on repeat. And I mean, we've done both where we do every door direct mail, where we do it just us, just a postcard from us. And we've also done it in where, they send out a nice little cellophane pack that has a nice little stamp on it that has like 30 different postcards in there from different other businesses, but they only let one person in from each industry. And those go out to only homes in the valley that are making over 150,000 a year and are single family homes. So they don't go out to apartments, they don't go out to condos, they only go to single family homes, and they only go to people that are making 150,000 or more per year. And that particular one that we do goes out April, May, June, July, August, September, October is how often that one goes out. So every month they're getting sent out. And if you do the entire thing, I think there's like close to 80,000 homes that it goes to. And if you wanted to do the entire Wasatch Front, I think we end up doing like 40 something thousand homes, because we don't want to go into areas that our travel is going to be more than 40, 45 minutes out. We don't want to go, be driving an hour and a half to each direction to do a job. So that's worked really, really well for us. What we do differently than what most window cleaning companies do on our flyers that we found works and works well is we have upfront real pricing, where most window cleaning companies, and I've seen this for decades now, but right now everybody's copying the same design. Like, oh, we're going to give you $50 off your first service, and then if you do monthly, quarterly, or biannually, you'll get this discount. And that's the entire thing, $50 off. Mm-hmm. And my thing is $50 off of what? How much? Yeah. How much is this? Is my window cleaning going to cost $1,000 and I'm getting $50 off? Or is my window cleaning going to be $200 and I'm paying $150? I have no idea what $50 off of what is. So we do packages where we do 25 exterior panes, 25 exterior interior, and then a 50 pane option where they can do in and out. But our prices are right there on the postcard for those services, with the exact amount of what we charge per pane for that type of house, with obviously stuff in the fine print that's like, we're not doing your 4-story house windows for that price. There's obviously some stipulations to it, but for a standard 2-story house, we have a pretty good pricing schedule that we can stick to. And having our prices up front where people can actually see what they're going to have to pay, and then knowing that they do get a discount for doing multiple services a year, gets us way more calls than when we did when I first started out, and we would do like, oh, you get 10% off or 20% off or $50 off. And
Mm.
I just found over time that most people are like, I don't know what that means. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what.
It's it's not really clearly communicating anything to them, like you've said, like they don't know what it means. And the other thing too, just to compare like kind of that timeline thing of like now versus like when you first started and like back in like the phone book days and all that kind of stuff, people are way less tolerant to call and find out information that's not in front of them because the information is there for most everything that they need. Like if you want to buy a product off Amazon, it's first of all, you can get like, you know, super fast delivery. You can have all the specs, the details, the reviews, the pricing. You can compare that price with other products on Amazon or other products on different stores. Like you have everything available to you to be super convenient. The information is just there. You don't want to have to call someone to find that out.
Right.
So what I'm hearing that the way that you structure that information is they have basically everything that they need to make the decision right up front with in terms of the pricing. They know what they're going to get and all that kind of thing. I would be curious to see the design though, because one of the things, like I'm hearing this conversation through the ears of a listener, and one of the things that would be a struggle in communicating that on a flyer is all of the what ifs and the maybes and the different, you know, like you could have a single story, you know, 3-bedroom house, and then you could also have like a single story 3-bedroom house, you know. So I know what you're saying about like the pains about and all that kind of stuff, but it feels like there is potentially kind of a lot of information that would need to be communicated to really hit them with real information about pricing. Do you basically say from this price, or how is
No, no,
that
no.
framed?
We have like straight up prices, not from this price to this price, straight up prices. And what that does is when somebody calls, they don't call to ask a bunch of questions. They call to book the service. And then
Yeah.
what we tell them when they book the service is, do you know about how many panes you have? And most people are pretty good about knowing about how many panes they have, but there's always some that don't. But so what we tell them is, hey, yeah, we can always come out and do a bid before we schedule service. But if you kind of know how many panes you have and you know if you want interior, exterior done or just exterior done, we can schedule you right now while we have you on the phone. And then we can give you an exact price, day of service. And then, there's no bait and switch. It's just straight up, this is what you're getting. And the truth of the matter is when you're there and the service is scheduled and they know that it's a service schedule and not a bid schedule, they have a lot harder time saying no once you're already there. So
Yeah.
plus we don't have to drive to every single job and give a bid on, because
I,
that is just
I
insanely time consuming.
Yeah. I assume that within that you would have the understanding with them that like if they do say no or if they want to like step it back from the full house that because it's a service schedule there is a minimum charge, right?
Usually no. If one out of maybe 100 people will tell us no, and then
Yeah. Okay.
then
You don't even worry about it.
then we'll just end up going and doing like a route job or something instead.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's nothing that's gonna hurt us, but it's so rare that somebody says no once we're already there,
Mm.
because we've kind of sold them over the phone already.
Yeah. This is funny. Like I don't know. I'm curious to hear what people say about this, like in the comments or in the Facebook group or whatever. But I feel like this is a difference culturally between Australia and the US when it comes to people counting panes. I have never had success with that. So we use Responsibid, and initially when I first started using that, we would try and have people either tell us or input on the website or whatever, like the number of panes that they had. And even if it was over the phone, that conversation, what we would find is that sometimes they would confuse windows with panes. So that
Mhm.
there might be like 4 panes in this window and they're like, oh, we've got like 7 panes in our house and they mean 7 windows. But then other times it's like, it's not even like you get to the house and they've said 7, which you're already like, okay, like that's wrong. And then there's 15 individual windows. So it's like I don't even know what they were counting. But we had a lot of trouble really getting that communication and clarity around that, whether it was online, over the phone, DIY, anything like that. So we really moved away from that model or that mode of communication about like panes or window counts, because we found that wasn't effective for our market. But I'm just really curious to hear if that's like a thing more broadly in like the Australian sphere versus the US sphere of
I
just like how customers
I would
interact and engage with that.
I would say, I mean, I can't be positive on anything here, but I would say 80% of US window cleaners do things based on price per pane. They might have a
Yeah.
different price for small panes, medium panes, large panes, but for the most part, everybody does things by pane count here. And so
Mm.
when we answer the phone here, and I answer the phone. I have a company that's called Jill's Office that I have answer my phones when I'm unable to, and they're trained to say the exact same thing that I do. So when somebody
Hmm.
calls and we're talking pane count, I make sure that there's no way that they can mistake a pane for a window opening. So my thing that I always tell them when we first get on the phone and we're talking, I just say, okay, a pane is each individual piece of glass. So if a window opens side to side or up and down, that's two panes. If it's a solid fixed piece of glass or a casement rollout window, that's one piece of glass. And then the light bulb in their head goes off and they're like, oh, yeah, that's simple. I can do that. And that's worked for us for, you know, 20 years. So that's how we do everything on that. The tough one is when people call in with true divided light or French window panes, because that's a lot harder to just give a bid over the phone.
Mm.
So probably 50 to 60% of the time, French window homes will go out and do an in-person bid because it's really, really hard to have people be on the same page as you. Because usually what we do on French window houses, every 3 to 4 little French panes we count as one pane.
Mm.
And then that's how we'll charge for it. But trying to explain something like that to someone on the phone is a little more difficult. But no, the pane count has worked out fantastic for us. I have a question for you. If you're not doing pane count, how do you guys come up with your pricing?
So we've done it a couple of different ways. So first of all, I think that the same holds true that most window cleaners in Australia would do per pane pricing, and we've done it that way as well. We just found that the communication of that, we shifted the onus from the customer entirely. We were like, this is not working reliably. So we would do, real estate photos from the customer, in-person bids, whatever we needed to do to kind of make that work. And more recently, we've actually moved to, this is not at all common. Like, I'm very confident in saying that most people would not do this, but we've moved to a sort of flat rate pricing structure based on a price per like living space versus bedrooms versus bathrooms, different like kinds of, like a kitchen, etc., like different types of rooms in the house. How many of each do they have? And then a flat rate price from that. And all that we do is we flag that our VA does pretty much all of our quotes. And if she sniffs anything that seems a bit off, then she'll flag it, and we'll either get more information or do an in-person quote or something. So like or she'll revert to per pane pricing. So if she sees like a real estate listing and it's like, yeah, okay, like this has this many of this type of room, that many of that type of room, but this whole wall is just made of glass. It's like, okay, this flat rate pricing is not going to work. We'll revert to per pane. And the reason that we've moved to that is just for the sake of making it like super quick, because we get a price straight away from just like looking at the specs of the house. And then when she takes a quick look at the photos, if it looks normal, then she knows that that's going to be fine. Like that price is going to be correct. So that's
Right.
basically how we're structuring it at the moment.
No, that makes sense.
But yeah, our biggest thing was just moving the onus of trying to get the customer to count stuff or communicate stuff. Because to be fair, we were doing, we still do when we do our per pane pricing. It is small, medium, and large, which again adds another layer of complexity with the customer. But like any market, you have set houses that are very much going to be like the same kind of type of job. Like this is going to take about the same. We know roughly how many windows is in this house. We know how long this is going to take us. So we're now just really focused on like finding the exceptions to the rule and then like drilling down and spending our time quoting on those ones. But the rest of them, we just basically flat rate them based on those specs. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it answers my question. I think personally I'd have a harder time doing that than the Pane camp, but I've never tried that avenue
Well, I mean,
before.
it's
So
fundamentally less numbers to count. So it is inherently quicker, but yeah, it's not inherently more accurate. It's a lower resolution picture. So then, and we can only do this with our VA because she already has the background of counting panes. Like she knows what a quote should look like. So that's how she's able to have that intuition around like just knowing whether this house and this price do in fact match, or
right.
if okay, we need to step this back and go deeper. Yeah. So that's just what we've done. And one of the reasons that we've done that, and this kind of speaks more to the thinking behind customer service and kind of that sort of Amazon mentality that I mentioned earlier, is people want stuff quickly. And if we can provide them with a quote as quickly as possible, all the information that they need as quickly as possible, then and just move from the point of inquiry to the point of booking as quickly as possible, then that's going to be a better service experience for most people. You can't please everyone because some people will always just prefer an in-person quote. Like they would just like that experience.
Right.
And other people
That's
will
definitely
always
true.
prefer to not have an in-person quote because it's inconvenient. It's like, I have to have you come twice, and then I've got to be here, and then like, I've got to wait around if you're late. Like I'm not going to be late, but they don't know that. They're thinking like trades and services, you're going to be late. So you can't 100% give everyone exactly the experience that they want, but you can tailor your experience to be the best in its own lane. And then people will naturally have that push-pull effect of finding the right business for them, of how everything goes from the quote to the booking process. So for like your business, you've been running about 20 years doing your thing. And my understanding is that like now you've very much got it to pretty much rinse and repeat kind of way that you like things to be, right?
Mhm.
So could you maybe give us a bit of a picture of like what your standard week kind of looks like now versus what it looked like when you were figuring it out? Like maybe in one of the the worst seasons of your business and everything was a bit chaotic and that kind of stuff. What's the difference in those two pictures? That is a great question if I don't say so myself. Can't wait to hear the answer in like 14 seconds from now. Just wanted to jump in and let you know about the free time audit designed specifically to save 5 hours per week for parents running cleaning businesses. It takes about 2 minutes to complete and you get your time-saving results straight away. To get your free time audit, join our Facebook group via warplan.au, link in the description. Now, what was that cliffhanger question again? A bit of a picture of like what your standard week kind of looks like now versus what it looked like when you were figuring it out. Like maybe in one of the the worst seasons of your business and everything was a bit chaotic and that kind of stuff. What's the difference in those two pictures?
Well, first starting out, obviously, I was doing 100% of everything myself, from answering the phones to invoicing to bids to doing all the work. So it's definitely a different thing when you're first getting going, because that's a lot of work for one person to do. So that's the biggest difference. And I mean, the hustle that you have to do when you're first starting, and your willingness to get out there, because yeah, when I started, there was no such thing as social media. It didn't exist yet. I think MySpace was around in 2007. Actually, I think Facebook was too, but nobody used them yet. And there was no such thing as a business page. That's for sure. So you had to hustle. You had to do stuff in order to get work, or you had to pay a ton of money to have a good size ad in the phone book. So most people that were starting out couldn't afford a $1,200 a month quarter page ad in the phone book. So you had to go out there and hustle to get work. Doing flyers, talking to people. Maybe joining one of the BNI groups or things like that can help people out a lot. So that's kind of the beginning of the business. Now everything's, pretty smooth. I mean, we've got a great customer list. Um, can fill the days up fairly easily now to where you're not worried all the time if work's coming in. So it's pretty consistent. I mean, we can definitely do a better job of getting more people on biannual and quarterly um, contracts. We're trying to push that more because I mean we all know that the more often somebody does a service, the better for us. To where you're bringing in a great ROI because you're not spending money on a new customer. You have somebody that's going 4 times a year. That's 3 new customers that you don't need in
Mm.
comparison to just doing one off house or just doing their house one time a year. So that's kind of a big piece. And delegating work and having having guys is incredible. I mean, it helps out a lot, and then you can conquer bigger jobs, bigger houses. It's pretty dang hard to go and do like a 15,000 square foot house by yourself. Yeah. And most people don't want to hire a solo guy to do a 15,000 square foot house by themselves because it's probably going to take them 2 days to
Yeah.
to do the place. Um, so it's nice having the employees and stuff. And I do things a bit different than most window cleaning companies do. My office is still my house, which isn't uncommon. But one thing that I do differently than probably 99% of the other companies is my guys have a work truck that they take home every day. It never,
Mm.
never ever comes to the office. It's always at their house with them. They leave their house in the morning to go to their first job in the morning, and then after their last job in the evening, they go back to their own house, which eliminates so much downtime of
Mm.
going to an office, BSing for 30 minutes to an hour before you actually get on the road to do anything, and then having to go back to that office at the end of the night um, is just not the way that we wanted to do things. So, yeah, employees just take a vehicle home, they leave from their house. Um, we meet up 1 or 2 times a week to collect checks and invoices and re-up on supplies, and that's how we do things. And it's keeps the overhead lower because you're not having to have an office, and it keeps efficiency at its very highest because you don't
Mm.
have a minimum of an hour of downtime of driving to and from an office. You're just straight to the first job, which is super duper efficient. And we run one man crews. Most people
Yeah.
do most people do 2 or 3 man crews. It's not profitable. It just is not nearly as profitable. I mean, one guy can do um, like if 2 guys are together, one guy can do 75% of what those 2 guys can together in a day. So why send 2 guys out to get an additional 25% revenue when
Mm.
you can send both guys out and they can be, creating more revenue in different places, be closer to their home. I mean, efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one which again I'm curious to hear from people in the comments and stuff on this because um, I don't see that as much here, but I know that in the States a lot of companies do 2 man crews, and yeah, I don't really get that either. For one thing, you have the travel time, right? So it's like if you were traveling 20 minutes, well, now that's effectively 40 minutes of travel because you've got 2 people in the truck, right? So um, yeah, obviously there's times for it, like you just referenced, doing a massive house or a huge, like a large commercial job or whatever. You're going to have more than one person on that job, but that's sort of a case by case thing rather than like this is the default of the day, regardless of the job size.
Right.
Um, so I guess maybe if that was all of the jobs that you were doing, if you were just purely doing jobs beyond a certain scale, then yeah, I guess it makes sense to not worry about having a second truck when you could have two people in the one thing and go to those large jobs all the time. But I'm with you on that. I don't really get why that's the case in so many businesses, but maybe someone in the comments can let us know. Let's pivot to the group for a second. So I think is it this month that you guys are doing the Utah meetup?
Yeah, so that's May 16th is when we're doing the Utah meetup. I think we have 20 to 25 people that have confirmed that they're definitely going, and then about another 30 people that are interested in going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And was that like when you first started it? Because obviously it's the largest independent window cleaning group now. It wasn't when you first started it. What was your intent when you first started it? Was it to like drive those kinds of like that sort of community feel and meetups and that sort of stuff? Or?
Really, the reason that I started it was just to see other cool jobs that colleagues that I already knew that had their own companies or work for other companies, to see pictures and videos of jobs that they were on. So when I started the Window Cleaning Nation, I literally invited 5 other window cleaners and just wanted to see like pictures and stuff that they were doing. I had no idea that there was window cleaning groups. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know that pro window cleaning existed. I didn't know that window cleaning talk existed. So I didn't know those existed. So I had my own group, and it was slowly growing with just people that, would search window cleaning groups and, see ours and come and check it out. And then things have just organically grown from there. I mean, I'm fairly vocal in a couple other window cleaning groups. I'm in the Pro Window Cleaning group, which is owned by World Enterprises, who owns WCR, who owns Zero, who owns Sorbo, who they're the largest window cleaning supplier in the world. So I'm in that group as well. And I think they've got 41 or 42,000 people in that group now. But my group I had probably for 3 years before I even knew there was other Facebook window cleaning groups. And it's just kind of cool that it's taken off and grown the way that it has, because the interaction and stuff on our page now, and I've got some really, really good admins now, and where it used to be just me running everything, and it's grown to a point where I can definitely not do that on my own anymore. I got to have other people monitoring stuff, make sure that there's no spam and no garbage, and that, I mean, we enjoy having some back and forth banter, but we don't want people, threatening each other or anything like that. So we shut that kind of stuff down. But healthy back and forth banter, arguing about, how to do things, we like seeing that. We just don't want people to, you know, tell people that they're going to kill them over the internet and stuff, because there's some people out there that say some pretty crazy stuff in these groups. So
Yeah. Yep. Keyboard warriors for sure. Well, at least hopefully just keyboard warriors. But yeah, so you've got that meetup happening, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording that you'd like to see more of that kind of thing happening, just like everywhere, basically, of the group sort of facilitating meetups with local window cleaners and that kind of thing. And the other thing that I've seen, I was talking with Gabe about this as well, is the community support for people that have had injuries or have other family situations going on, and raising money around like GoFundMe's and stuff, which it's so incredible that kind of thing can happen. Again, like just kind of following the theme of this chat so far around like the then and now, from the days of the phone book until what we've got going on with this community industry group, where people are able to chip in, and even suppliers chipping in, and getting people that sort of support for them and their families that they otherwise wouldn't have. What have you seen with that, and what do you think can kind of be done to leverage more of that?
So with us, any of the GoFundMe's that do come up, me and any admin in our group, we can tag, just the admins can tag at everyone. So then everyone in the group will get a little Facebook message that says, check this out. So anytime that a GoFundMe that we find is like a real GoFundMe for an actual injured window cleaner, we push those pretty hard because we want to help out window cleaners that have been injured, and that we don't actually start any of the GoFundMes. That's not what we do. We're not into that side of things. We're not a nonprofit or anything like that, but we share those GoFundMes, and we help a lot of people get to where they want to be on the GoFundMes. Because, like I said, I tell people, we've got over 16,000 people in our group. And if somebody is looking for $15,000 to pay medical bills and pay a couple months of their mortgage until they can get back to work, what's a dollar out of everyone's pocket to make sure that this person is able to still do everything that they need to for their families? And so it's been something that's really, really awesome. And shout out to Craig Hensel and his step base. They do a fantastic job of marking these GoFundMes and continually posting them in the groups. They do a fantastic job of that. And Grace is one of our admins in the group and is probably one of the most well-known female window cleaners in the industry. So she does an awesome job of just staying on top of all those kind of things. And she also does our little once a month podcast that we do in the nation, where we do the $2,000 giveaway. That's for WCR sponsors that, and one lucky winner every month gets $2,000 to spend on supplies. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, it's just really good the way that the power of that community exists and is enabled to exist, and the extra support that can come from that, or even the extra, like, even though it's an independent group, having the sponsorship of that for like prize giveaway and that kind of thing, just to kind of develop a bit more of that connection and so forth, which then means that when something does happen, someone has an injury or fall off a ladder or something like that and needs support, that there is that additional option for them in the community, which I just think is really incredible that we can do that. And there's a lot of discussions around whether we kind of have a bit of a good old days kind of mentality, and whether things are actually improved now or not, but things like this with the community aspect of it, GoFundMe, like that sort of stuff could not have existed in the same way that it does now. And it's just really amazing. And you should be really proud to be a part of that in the way that you've been able to set up and run the group.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Like I said, I'm just lucky to have awesome admins in the group and people that really care about the industry, and these meetups are really going to take off. It's going to be something that's going to be big in the industry, and I think this is going to be the biggest just single state one that's ever been done. And there's already traction for other window cleaners to already do this, that are trying to start their own, because people commented in the one here for Utah, and they're like, oh, when are you guys going to do one in Illinois? And I'm like, well, I don't have the connections that you do in Illinois, so start one. You can use this group, you can use the Window Cleaning Nation to reach out to every other window cleaner that's in Illinois, and you can bring that together. But that's not something that we can do for you in another state. But I would love to see all 50 states have a get together of window cleaners and pick each other's brains. And because for the most part, we're all pretty cool with everybody else. We don't have issues with other window cleaners. We're not insanely competitive with other people where we're trying to cause issues with anyone else. So I mean, it's kind of just a fun thing to get everyone together. I mean, they obviously do the big conventions like the IWCA and the huge convention, and those are a lot of fun. I've been to those, and meet people from all over the world. But I mean, on a smaller sector, it's kind of fun to meet all the people that or in your little area, you know? And I mean, I didn't expect anyone from out of state to come to this, but we've got Jason Gulick, who does the Goo and Deeds podcast on pro window cleaning. He's coming out, and then Gabe is also coming out from Arizona, and then we've got a couple guys coming from Idaho, and so I mean, kind of cool to have people that want to come from other states as well and come down and say hi and hang out. And yeah, I'm excited to meet Gabe because I've been talking to him for a decade and never actually met him in person. So, and we're both involved in Squeegee University. I'm a consultant for Squeegee University that he started. Um, and I don't know if you know this about me already, but I run a tax office. So I do that as well during tax season. So my goal is to help people in the service industry do things right. Because I kid you not, I would say in the high 80% of window cleaning companies are not set up correctly for tax purposes. They're doing things wrong and costing themselves tens of thousands of dollars every year. So my goal is to try to get as many people on a path to in the right area tax wise for their business. I mean, to save people money on their taxes. I mean, that's money that you can put back into your business or put into your retirement. My big thing is retirement. You know, none of these young kids are thinking anything about that. But if you're 25 and you're maxing out an IRA through your business and you start at 25 and you go to 65, you're going to have over $5 million in that account at 65 years old. And, you know, that's pretty awesome, you know, to retire with $5 million because you'll never spend a penny of that $5 million and you'll live better than you did when you were working. So that's my big thing is I want people in this industry to not die still cleaning windows. You know, I mean, if you want to work until you're 80 years old, cool, do your thing. But I don't want people to have to work until they're 80 years old because they have no other choice. I want people to be able to save money and put money away for retirement. And I think that that's a super important thing. So that's one of the things that I really like to see people do and that I have a passion for on just helping people get to their financial goals and retire better off than they were when they were working. Well, I do consultations, um, and most people in a 1 hour consultation with me can get to a point where they know what they need to do. And they can either have my office here in Salt Lake do everything for them, from helping them set up their corporation to um, even helping with their payroll and filing their corporation and personal taxes. We can do all that here in, you know, for every state, and we can do all of that. But I really don't want to try to take on tons and tons of people from other states. So my big thing is just getting somebody into the point where they know what to talk to their actual accountant about. Because most accountants are so busy that they're not going to tell you what you should be doing. They're going to do your taxes when tax time comes, but they don't want to sit down and have a consultation with you for an hour about what you should be doing. They just want to get your taxes done and get you the hell out of their office. Yeah. And they're not. And see, that's more where I want to be is doing consultations over the phone or through Zoom, and talking to people, helping them save money on their taxes and doing things the correct way. So when they do give the information to their accountant, that all that's already done. Because an accountant, once the information has gotten to them, like when you hand your P&L, your accountant's going to punch the numbers in to most likely Drake software to do your corporate return, and they're going to put in all the information, and that's all they're going to do for you. They're not going to try to find other deductions. They're not going to tell you what your best scenarios are and any of that unless you pay them a lot more money. And a lot of them don't even want to do that. They don't want to do consultations because they find it's a waste of their time. And that they'll make a lot more money just filing more and more and more returns. And so trying to help save somebody money isn't something that they're really into doing. They just want to do as many returns as they can. But I just think that it's super important to be on the right page as early as you can in your business when it comes to taxes and retirement. Those are just such important things that way too many business owners overlook. So another thing that I'm pretty passionate about. Right. No, definitely not. Yep. 100%. Yeah. And the biggest thing for me is people that take way too long to move to filing as a corporation. And there's thousands of companies out there that are doing, you know, 300,000 plus in sales, and they're keeping a sole proprietorship or a single line LLC, and they're just flushing money down the toilet. And I mean, our consultation with me for $150 can literally save you tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, it's just silly what, and a lot of window cleaners, it's the strangest thing to me because window cleaners brag about how much money they make all the time, but then they won't spend $150 to save themselves tens of thousands of dollars. It's just absolutely ridiculous to see. But I mean, I want to help people. I want to help people do things right and structure things the right way so then they're never getting in trouble doing taxes and stuff. So they never have any issues there. But at the same time, just doing things right from day one to when they want to retire. No, I don't think I have much else to say unless you've got other questions. Always down to answer questions. So no, I appreciate you and I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to do an interview. I think it's awesome. So I've watched a few of your others, and so yeah, kind of a cool thing. So I appreciate it. Okay, thanks, Mark. Have a good one, man.
If you enjoyed this conversation, you'll love our Facebook group for parents running cleaning businesses. Easiest way to find it is via warplan.au. Catch you in there.